Hey, what's already? Welcome back to News Dosin. If you're a fan of the Switch 2, and if you just want to know more about some things that are incoming, well, today was actually a lot of fun. We got some more Nintendo Direct speculation because, hey, why not? I mean, let's be honest, there's literally Nintendo Direct speculation every single month of the year. But what I will say is that today, something did actually pop up that was very interesting. And yes, this could actually indicate a soonish Nintendo Direct. Now, we also got a really cool piece of hardware for the Switch 2 that I'm very, very excited to talk about. This is right up my alley. And then a little bit later on, we're also going to talk about an Xbox showcase that sounds like it will be quite significant. We're probably going to want to tune in. Now, first, though, I do want to thank my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Thank you just so much for what you do, and you will receive this video through early access. Let's go and get right into things, though, starting off with Nintendo. I mean, like I said, it's been mostly a fun day for Switch 2 owners, but unfortunately, that's not necessarily a sweeping statement. We are currently getting some information through a leak that this year's Call of Duty might not launch on the Switch 2 day one as it was supposed to. And there's the controversial part about this alleged claim. Now, the reason I say that is because Microsoft signed a 10-year contract with Nintendo to launch Call of Duty games on Nintendo hardware day one in order to help the Activision Blizzard acquisition proceed through its lawsuit against the FTC and the CMA. That was one of their big justifications to get the acquisition to go through. You know, Call of Duty is going to be available in more places and not less. However, it's important to note that the information that we have currently is not a 100% fact as of this time. What's happening here is that the ever-reliable Bilbo-kun leaked out Call of Duty's Gamescom announcement, which is a release date for November 14th. But he also said this: "We can also confirm that Call of Duty Black Ops 7 will not be available on Nintendo Switch 2 when it launches this year. However, it remains unclear whether Activision plans a future port to the new console." Now, there is a chance that Bilbo-kun just doesn't have that information currently. We can't necessarily rule that out. There's always a chance that Nintendo will, maybe want to announce it at an upcoming Direct instead of something like Gamescom. They did something very similar. I want to say it was with Persona 5 a few years back. The Nintendo announcement didn't actually happen at the same time as other platforms, but it did release on the Switch day one alongside those other versions. It just got announced a little bit later on. So there is a chance that they might want to do the same thing with Black Ops 7, maybe announce it at the Direct instead. But at the same time, I don't want to necessarily get anybody's hopes up. There is another reality that the Switch 2 is still early in the generation. And if publishers like Microsoft didn't get those Switch 2 dev kits early enough, there is a chance that some games might get staggered releases. What I will say here, though, is that I don't think that this is necessarily going to be a problem for the long-term future. And the reason I say that is because Call of Duty still supports the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. So, I mean, it's definitely not a hardware issue. The Switch 2 is more than capable of running the newest Call of Duty. So there's something else happening here, and my guess is that if this is true, it's probably just a timing issue with it just so early in the generation, and that can easily be fixed for the next Call of Duty. In the meantime, if Black Ops 7 gets a staggered release for the Switch 2, hopefully it just won't be overly long. Now, continuing on here, though, let's go and talk about that Nintendo Direct because people are convinced that there will be a new Direct soon based on Sakurai's recent announcement. You can see here where he said, "It doesn't matter to most people, but today, Sora is celebrating its 20th anniversary. That's a long time. Thank you for your continued support. The new game, Kirby Air Rider, hasn't even shown gameplay footage yet, but I think we'll be able to share some information soon. Please wait." So first off, I want to go and say big congrats for the 20th anniversary. That's pretty incredible alone. But it's that last line that everybody is speculating about. He is suggesting that there will be a soonish reveal for Kirby Air Riders. And, well, that could potentially mean that there will be a Direct sometime soon. Here's my thing, though. I absolutely believe that there will be another Direct in 2025, and my guess is that it's probably going to be for September. Historically, Nintendo tends to like that month, and I mean, there's still various Nintendo Switch 2 games that don't have release dates. Games like Metroid Prime 4, there's Splatoon Raiders, Kirby Air Riders, Elden Ring, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and the list just kind of goes on and on and on. And at least 4 of the games that I just mentioned are planned for 2025. So, yeah, I kind of feel like another Direct before the holidays makes a lot of sense. A place that they can give us those release dates. For me, I think the bigger question is whether it'll happen in September or in October. Those are the 2 months that I would peg a Direct for. Now, there is an off chance that maybe they'll just announce all of this through their app or on Twitter, but a Direct does make a lot of sense. Now, just disregarding any kind of Direct hype, though, I'm going to go and tell you what really has me truly, genuinely curious. A few years back, you might remember that there was a Nintendo patent that was discovered online, and it was for a dual-screen device. Now, at the time, there was a lot of speculation that maybe it could be for the Switch 2, and that, the Switch 2 is going to have a detachable dual-screen setup. And that would be their gimmick for the generation. Nintendo always likes their different gimmicks. Now, obviously, that didn't happen, but that's where things start to get really interesting because that patent has returned. Yeah, it was updated just yesterday on August 14th. Check this out. You can see it here. It's a detachable screen on what appears could be the Switch 2. Now, it is important to keep in mind that patents don't necessarily confirm that a company is proceeding with said product. It's more or less a concept that could eventually see a full market release if they see it viable. So in other words, there is no guarantee that this will absolutely happen without a doubt. But it is still very interesting to see that Nintendo is considering something like this. And the main reason for that might just be because of something like Switch Online. The Nintendo DS and the 3DS are very important legacy devices for Nintendo. And, there is a potential chance that eventually Nintendo will want to add those devices to Switch Online. The DS is still the best-selling Nintendo console of all time, and it has an absolute ton of games. So if Nintendo were to ever want those games on Switch Online, which makes a lot of sense given its massive library and its importance to their history, well, this could be their solution, an add-on peripheral device for the Switch 2. Honestly, if they were to do something like this, then I would buy it on day one. Personally, I'm a huge fan of the 3DS specifically, and even all of these years later, if you want to play DS and 3DS games, there's truly no better way to play them than just by playing them on original hardware. Most consoles can be emulated fairly well on a wide variety of platforms, but that's really not the case with the DS and the 3DS because of their unique dual-screen setups. So the Switch 2 with an add-on screen could actually change that. They could up-res a lot of DS and 3DS games on Switch Online and truly let them shine on a device that either doesn't cost $1,000+ like the recent iNeo Flip, or gives us a subpar experience because you have to emulate everything on a single screen. So I truly hope that Nintendo goes through with something like this, but hey, I guess we'll see. Now, one more thing before we go, because it sounds like Xbox has a major showcase ahead of them. We've known for a while that they will have a big presence at this year's Gamescom, but it actually sounds like it might be even bigger than what we initially expected. They just dropped their full stream schedule, which will actually include 2 different streams, the first of which will air on August 20th, and then the second on August 21st. But check this out. Here's the list of games and hardware that they plan to show. On August 20th, they'll showcase the Xbox ROG Ally, which I expect there to be a lot of coverage for. Specifically, they'll probably showcase various games running on it, including Silksong, maybe even a release date for that game. That would be pretty cool. We'll probably get a price, release date, and pre-order information for the Xbox ROG Ally. If you're even slightly interested in the Xbox ROG Ally, you're probably going to want to tune in for at least their first stream. Now, continuing on, though, they'll also have Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, Dying Light the Beast, Keeper, that's Double Fine's new game. I'm very curious to see how that one turns out. There's also World of Warcraft Midnight, Call of Duty Black Ops 7, Grounded 2, Hotel Barcelona, Invincible Versus, Chronos The New Dawn, Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate, Outbound, Power Wash Simulator 2, Star Sand Island, Indiana Jones and the Grey Circle, The Order of Giants, and then on August 21st, they're going to continue on with Ninja Gaiden 4, At Fate's End, Onimusha Way of the Sword, Age of Empires 4, Overwatch 2, High on Life 2, The Outer Worlds 2, Jurassic World Evolution 3, Fragpunk, Mistfall Hunter, Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, Final Fantasy Tactics, My Hero Academia, LEGO Voyagers, and then lastly, Metal Gear Solid Snake Eater. So, I mean, there's a lot of really big games that they plan to show. I mean, there's just a lot of games in general here. But yeah, right away, I want to see more of games like Ninja Gaiden, Onimusha, Silent Hill F, and definitely Metal Gear Solid. I mean, technically, I've already played this game before, but that right now, alongside Metroid Prime, are probably my most anticipated games left for 2025. I definitely want to get more looks of those games. Either which way, though, they have a lot to show, that's for sure. Now, I will post the schedule here if you're interested, but one way or the other, next week is going to be a lot of fun with the Xbox broadcast, and then also for Gamescom opening night live, which so far there hasn't actually been a lot of leaks for. So maybe we'll actually get some surprises this year, which is kind of rare anymore. Anyways, though, that's going to be for this episode. But until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.